If you have a dream that you want to go for, if you have a desire inside of you, maybe you want to look a certain way, maybe you want to have a certain amount of money, maybe you want a certain type of business, the only way you will ever get the life that you truly want, the things that you truly want, is if you act on them as soon as you have the thought of them. You have to act on your desires as soon as you are inspired. If you ever heard the story about the man who was drowning and who said, "God, please come and help me." And then a boat shows up and the guy drowning says, "Well, God is gonna come save me, so I don't want to get in your boat." And then he prays to God again and he says, "God, please come save me." And then another boat comes by. And he's like, "No, God is gonna come save me. I don't want to get on your boat." And then he ends up drowning because he never got on the boat. And then the guy goes up into heaven and he asks God, "Why did you let me drown?" And God says, "I sent you 2 boats, you dummy." This story is a great metaphor for the fact that when you're given an idea inside your soul, you need to act on it as soon as it is inside of you. And that doesn't mean when you visualize that you want a Birkin bag that you have to go out and buy one. No, it essentially means that you need to take inspired action when you are inspired, or that inspiration will just be pure inspiration and never turn into anything more. Actually, that inspiration in the long run will turn into resentment. Kind of like the guy who asked for God to come help him, and God sent 2 boats, and he got into heaven because he drowned, and he said, "God, I asked you for help." And God was like, "I helped you. You just didn't take action." That is exactly what happens when you get inspired. When you get inspired, when you have a dream, a desire within yourself, it is so important that you nurture this idea. However, you can nurture it. Whether this is writing down the fact that you had this idea in your manifestation journal, whether it's you making a video for yourself on your phone about the fact that you had this idea and you want to take step towards getting it, maybe you want to look a different way. And the inspired action you have to take when you get inspired to create a new look for yourself is to get rid of some clothes. The reason why a lot of people today are afraid of taking inspired action is because it seems like we have to go from 0 to 100 in one go, which simply doesn't make sense. We see some famous or rich or happy looking person on social media and we think, how can I get there the fastest? Without realizing that the journey is actually what matters the most. The actions that you take that take you to your end goal is actually what makes you capable of handling your true desires. That's what makes you capable of actually being worthy of what you truly want. It's kind of like when you give a 1-year-old an iPhone, they do not understand that an iPhone has a lot of power. They do not understand all of the things you can do with an iPhone. They just see some object and you know what they're probably going to do? They're going to smash that iPhone because they don't understand why it's so powerful. They haven't unlocked the knowledge to understand why the iPhone does what it does, how to handle it, how to use it for themselves. It's the same thing when you're trying to get your dream life, when you're trying to get to somewhere, trying to level up your looks, trying to become richer, trying to build your business, whatever it is you want, trying to get a provider man. In all of these endeavors, what we usually focus on is the end goal. And there's absolutely good reason to hold on to the end goal. The end goal should always be the lightning post that you feel inspired by, not disheartened by. But today, when we look on social media, we see some people that already have everything that we want. And we get extremely discouraged to take action whenever we're truly inspired. Because we no longer focus on the progress, on the mentality of the progress, the person you become throughout your progress. We focus so much more on the materialism of what it means to be at the end goal. And having the materialism of what it means to be at the end goal is absolutely amazing. It is great to have that testimonial, but for the individual who is on their own individual journey, it can be very disheartening to watch someone else have everything you want and not figure out how to get there. But getting there is actually the most beautiful part. But in today's society where we're constantly scrolling and scrolling on social media, it can kind of of feel like if you don't already have it and if you cannot achieve it instantly, then you might as well not get it. That's why we're so focused on instant gratification, and I'm absolutely no better than any other human being. I used to be very obsessed with clothes myself, and I absolutely still love fashion, no doubt about that. But I used to have a very toxic and unhealthy relationship with shopping. And I think that's actually very normal for a lot of Gen Zs or even millennials. We're constantly fed an algorithm of new styles, new clothes, new trends, new this, new that, becoming a new era, being on a new vibe, giving a certain energy. And we're so caught up in trying to match whatever society is giving that we end up actually taking from ourselves. We're not actually giving, we're taking. Me, myself, and I've always been a fashion girly. I've always loved styling myself. Even when I was a little kid and I put together the most horrendous outfits and I would do fashion shows in the living room, I've known that fashion was always a part of me, but that part of me was definitely transformed into becoming something that it's not when I became older, and suddenly it was much more about the dopamine hit of getting new clothes than it actually was about having clothes that represented who I was, which led me to never actually feeling the gratitude and the happiness for having what I had, which ties back to this whole idea of instant gratification. And today we're just seemingly given a lot of options to choose from, which in reality is taking a lot of the time and energy and resources we could put into ourselves, which goes back to this whole idea of taking inspired action as soon as you get inspired. Because when you see everyone getting a new closet every single week, like a $300 haul here and a $1,000 haul here and new designer items here and there and here and there, there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to have clothes in your closet and liking clothes. You can have a lot of clothes. There's nothing wrong with that if you really like clothes. The issue is that we go completely all or nothing a lot of the time. We think inspired action means going out and buying that $300 wardrobe, while inspired action could actually mean getting rid of some stuff in your wardrobe now to have space for a new you. We constantly want to consume instead of actually letting go. And again, as I said, there's nothing wrong with wanting stuff and liking stuff. I'm a trinket girly myself. I like things. The issue is we get very disconnected from the process of going from inspired idea to inspired action because we feel like there must be some more steps. And we think that the inspired action means the end goal, and inspired action does not mean the end goal. We're so disconnected from the fact that getting the life that you truly want has a process, and the process is truly the beautiful thing, which makes us not want to take inspired action because we feel like we need to be perfect on every single step, and we don't know what the next perfect step is. So we don't want to take any steps. So we get frozen, we get paralyzed, and we feel like we can't take any steps towards becoming a better version of ourselves. And this is completely normal. There's nothing shameful about having felt like it's hard to take the step towards creating your dream life, because it is daunting and it is nerve-wracking exiting your comfort zone. It is your comfort zone for a reason. You're comfortable in there, but growth does not happen in your comfort zone. Your desires, your inspiration, whatever it is you dream about does not manifest itself within your comfort zone. Everything that you desire lies outside your comfort zone. But it is so important not to feel ashamed about the fact that you have felt that you needed to stay in your comfort zone, having felt that it was hard to exit it. Because it is hard. And especially on social media today, you don't see the whole journey. Even though we have a lot of influencers out there who try to show you the bigger picture, they will never actually be able to show you the bigger picture. And it is also not their responsibility. It is absolutely great that they are trying to show you a little bit more, but it is also your duty to understand that you will never be able to have insight into someone else's complete journey. And if you focus too much on whatever someone else is doing to get to where they want to go, then you're going to be sidetracked. You're going to start thinking that that's the only way for you to get what you truly want. You're not going to be able to take the inspired action you need to take because you're going to get caught up in this idea that it has to be done a certain way, like they did it, while you can't even see exactly how they did it, and you never will. And that's a great thing. There's a reason you're not supposed to know how everyone got everything that they want. You can absolutely know some of the tips, some of the methods, but it is ultimately your journey. It is your inspired action. And you can't be hanging on to this perfectionism and this all or nothing mentality if you want to see your inspiration turn into reality. Not knowing what everyone's exact journey is like is actually freeing, because it makes you feel less of an imposter in your own life, because you're suddenly not comparing yourself to everyone else's journey. And we've become so used to thinking that social media is actually real life, that when we see someone's Instagram feed, we might start to think that this is a representation of their full person. But this is only what we see. And this is actually a great lesson to be reminded that most of what happens around us and to us is not something we can actually observe with our eyes and our five senses, which is why it's so important for us to have certainty in our process and in our journey, instead of trying to fixate on someone else's journey, instead of trying to fixate on someone else's results. Results should never be something you compare yourself to. Other people's results should be seen as testimony that whatever it is you truly want is possible. But whatever it is you truly want might come to you differently. If you want a certain lifestyle, it's great to follow the type of people that have that lifestyle, but it is also very important to understand that you cannot compare yourself to their journey. You can draw inspiration, but you should never compare yourself, because comparison is the thief of joy. It is the thief of you actually finding your true self, who you are, the happiness in the journey, because you're constantly trying to strive for this idea you have created of what it is that you want, hoping that when you get to the end goal, you'll be feeling the way that the person in the pictures you're looking at seems to feel. Only to discover when you get there and you haven't done the work, when you're given a diploma without doing the work to get the degree, you're going to feel like an imposter. And it's because you are comparing yourself, and it's taking the joy out of taking inspired action. If you've ever seen one of those videos of kids when the parents put on music and the kid just starts dancing, and it's like the toddler dance where it's like they're bobbing up and down and they're just kind of like moving to the music. They don't really know what they're doing, but they're moving. That is inspired action. The baby has nothing to lose by starting to dance. The baby doesn't have a concept of what it means to be judged. The baby is certainly not going to compare themselves to other babies who are not dancing. They're not comparing themselves to some kid that's older than them and saying, how did that kid get there? The kid knows it's going to grow, but it's still going to enjoy what it's doing right now. It's going to dance in its diaper. It's going to rock, because it understands that the results of growing into a human being, it's going to come. It doesn't even understand that. It just lives because it's not caught up in this end goal, end goal, end goal. This usually actually happens when we become older. You know, when you turn a teenager, you're very focused on, when am I going to turn 18? When am I going to become an adult? And time seems like it's slowing down. You're waiting and you're waiting and you're waiting for the moment to become an adult. And you know what usually happens when you turn 18? You're like, oh, I'm 18 now, and it doesn't feel much different. And you turn 20 and you're like, I still feel like I'm a high schooler. That's because we get caught up in this idea that we need to wait till the end goal. The end goal has to come first, and then the feeling is going to come after. No, the feeling is going to have to come first. You're going to have to take inspired action as if you already have the thing that you want. The feeling has to come before what it is that you truly want, or the thing that you truly want will leave. It's kind of like when you plug an electrical device into a socket with too much voltage. What happens is there's a flashing light, and it seems absolutely fascinating, but then there's darkness. That is exactly what happens when we do not take inspired action and we rely on trying to achieve the end goal with instant gratification. Instead of taking inspired action, we try to get to the goal that we truly want to get to quicker by kind of doing little shortcuts. You kind of get to where you need to go quicker, but you're not ready to handle it. You're not ready to have the gratitude for where you got. Now, I'm not saying you have to work so hard that you fall down and cry on your knees. This is absolutely not the same. Working on yourself doesn't mean exhausting yourself to the point where you do not feel like yourself. Working on yourself can be fun. It is daunting at times. It will be hard, but you have to take inspired action, or else you will constantly be striving for the instant gratification version of the things that you truly desire. And it's going to feel like that light bulb who's constantly put into a socket that has too high of a voltage. The light bulb is going to flash quickly and it's going to burn out. It's going to be complete darkness. That's kind of what we do when we overconsume, we go out and party, we try to hang around people just to hang around people. And I'm not saying that there's anything wrong. You can still buy things you like. You can still go have a party. It has just more to do with the whole chasing a specific feeling that you want to copy from social media that you see everyone else having. In reality, most people out on social media are living like the light bulb that is put into a socket with too much voltage. They see the flashing light and they're like, wow, maybe they buy a lot of clothes, maybe they get a lot of followers from one video that is just some trend, or it's just some viral video sound. And then it turns into darkness because they weren't actually able to keep the frequency of that feeling that they got when they were doing it. So they're constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down. And that's why it can feel so hard to take inspired action, because we're so used to things feeling so volatile, to things feeling so unstable. When you get something that you really want, it's instant gratifications, it's an instant hit of dopamine, and then it goes away. So that makes us actually afraid of taking action towards something bigger, something more. Taking action towards buying some clothes, it's gonna be that hit of dopamine, but it's not gonna be as scary as taking inspired action towards starting the business that's gonna make you millions of dollars. Taking inspired action towards eating a healthy diet that's gonna change your body. Taking inspired action towards growing your social media account to show people your style, to inspire people with whatever it is you want to inspire people with. It's not going to feel as daunting doing something that seems trendy and that seems like someone else is also doing, like buying a lot of stuff, doing viral videos, than it is going to feel to take inspired action towards what your true desires are, especially when these desires are not necessarily what everyone else wants to do. When you have certain things you want to share with people, you have certain things you want for yourself, and it doesn't feel like everyone else around you wants the same, or you can't figure out how someone got there. It is going to feel daunting, and you might want to go back to that whole putting in the bulb into the socket and having that flash of light back and forth, because that volatile up and down, up and down, up and down, light and darkness feels more comforting than embracing the darkness of knowing that you need to be your own light in the darkness. You cannot rely on things or people, likes, whatever it is, to keep you taking inspired action. You got to show up for yourself every day. You need to be the light in the darkness. You cannot let something else be the light in the darkness, because if something else is a light in the darkness, it's not going to be able to handle the power that you're supposed to handle, and that is why it blows up quickly. That is why it doesn't last. That is why you feel scared to take the inspired action you need to take, because no one is going to be able to handle your journey the way that you're going to be able to handle your journey. But we constantly want to compare ourselves to other people's journey in the hopes that we can figure out how to make the perfect journey, in the hopes that we never have to go through the darkness, so we could constantly have the flash of light. But we don't realize we're not ready to see that flash of light yet. We're not ready to see it. It's going to hurt our eyes. The only way we're going to be comfortable with the light is if we become the light ourselves. The only way we're going to be comfortable and embody the feeling of the life that we truly want is if we create that feeling in the life that we have already. And that comes with taking inspired action, not taking inspired reaction. It comes with embracing the darkness that is. It comes with embracing stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping into who you're meant to be, knowing the same way that a kid grows up and becomes a full human being, you're going to become who you need to become. You just need to get up and dance like the little kid. You just need to get up and take inspired action. To me, a lot of inspired action just means getting up and moving myself. It just means getting up and creating the feeling of what it is that I truly want. If you're envisioning something that you truly want and you feel that inspiration within you, the best thing you can do is to act like the little kid in the diaper who dances to music because they feel the music. Is put on some music and get up and dance and move your body and feel the beauty within you that is being present, and understanding that you will get there. Celebrate the fact that you had the idea. Celebrate the fact that you had the inspiration. You can sit down and paint the inspiration. You can sit down and write down what it is that inspired you. Embrace what it is to be now, even if you don't know how exactly you're going to get there. Because when you don't know exactly how you're going to get there, that's when all of the opportunities arise. And when you know you're going to get there, no matter how you're going to get there, you're going to get more opportunities. And the journey is going to feel much more smooth. And you're not going to compare yourself to everyone else. You're going to get up and you're going to dance mentally and even physically, like the baby who has no other care in the world than the good music they're listening to, because you are the light in your world. You need to take inspired action when you are inspired. This is a gift you're given. That's why the present is called the present. It is a gift. Take your inspiration and turn it into action, and everything you desire will become reality.